Hello, everybody. Welcome to Duncan and Doonkeen. We are your hosts, Drew Duncan, myself, and her, Thyme Doonkeen. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Duncan and Doonkeen. Additionally, you can find us individuals on social media. I am at Drew Duncan Radio, and she's at Thyme Doonkeen. And do not forget that we are wherever you are listening to the podcast. Simply tell your device to play Duncan and Doonkeen on iHeart, Spreaker, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you are listening to the podcast. We are there, folks. Plenty to get to today. We've got Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa to discuss on the program. The ongoing saga with Conor McGregor. Now, Rafael Dos Anjos has called out Conor McGregor. We're going to continue with the ongoing saga with the money-making issues going on in UFC right now. Some things that we're going to talk about will definitely surprise you, and we have so much more to get to, whether or not basketball, baseball, or maybe even football should have a season. Can't wait to get to it. Thyme, first of all, good talking to you again.
Well, it's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, well, you know.
I missed everybody. We've had a lot to talk about the past week. A lot of union discussions.
Plenty. Time. First thing is first, okay? Let's get into this, all right? Gray Maynard talks about the UFC giving him, quote, hush money. Basically, he says that one of his fights, he got $26,000. Then the UFC slid him $100K under the table. They said it was a bonus. He called it hush money. The conundrum is, according to the Houston Chronicle in 2018, the average boxer made $35,000 a year. According to MMAGuru.com, the average UFC fighter made $138,250K in 2018 on average, with obviously the exception of fighters like McGregor, John Jones, etc., making a little bit more. Look, you're a fight promoter. You know what it is. People are going to fight over money no matter what. It's never enough. You know, even Dana White said, does anybody ever think they have enough money? Hell no, I don't think I have enough money.
Right.
You know, so, okay. So
I do way more than I get paid for. Everybody feels that way.
Right, exactly. All right, so
But here's the thing. If it's hush money, why are we talking about it?
Right.
If anybody kicked me down with hush money, nobody would know anything. Hush would be the word.
Exactly. Okay, so right now you're Dana White, and you're hearing this, and you're going, dude, I slipped you $100K. It was a bonus. You're telling the audience it's hush money. You just made $126,000 on one fight. What's your initial reaction to that?
I would blackball him from the organization, for one.
Whoa.
And, yeah, you wouldn't fight for me, especially if you can't. If I'm trying to help you out, trying to kick you down with extra money, and who knows what that money was for. Who knows if he had to catch a flight out of his pocket because he missed his initial flight. We don't know what that money was for. I mean, it could have come from anywhere it could have gone to. I mean, I've done all kinds of things as a fight promoter, just trying to make a fight happen. I will say that I felt I operated ethically, but I'm just saying, to bring an amateur fighter from another state and have him come here and just say, well, Oklahoma says I can only pay $50 for each amateur fighter. Why are they going to come here? So sometimes we contribute a couple hundred to their fight camp to help them pay with training expenses, and that's not illegal.
And to your point, that was one of the things he talked about. He said he spent $20,000 in training camp. He had no idea where the rest of the money was going to come from. Okay, so let's say that what he says is true. He made $6K on the fight and then another $100,000. So he still cleared $106,000 in one damn fight. Dude, what are you worried about? Okay.
And on top of that, it was non-taxable.
Right. So, again, Are we getting to a point where we're being maybe a little too greedy?
Being too greedy, being too. I don't know why we don't have a gentleman's code. If somebody gives you extra money, maybe he thought he got fight of the night, and he didn't happen to agree with the judges that said fight of the night, and he said, "Hey, man, I really think that performance warranted a bonus." Maybe it was a situation like that.
Sort of. I mean, you're barking up the right tree here. Okay, so this is from his Twitter specifically, right? Where he claims they gave me $100,000 bonus. I remember I thought it crossed my mind walking to the cage, I was going to be broke if I lost because I spent $20K on my training camp. I was only guaranteed $26,000. Right. And then he continues with, I don't think it's called a bonus, more like hush money. Wow. Okay.
See, that's awful. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. When I got into promoting, it wasn't, I love the fight games, but I love the fighters. And I wanted to see them bring more revenue. I wanted to see them build themselves as athletes. I got in it for the fighters. I'm always going to operate in the best interest of the fighters all the time. Of course, staying in line with the boxing regulations for that state. But I'll always operate on the behalf of the fighters first.
Well, and let's be honest, Dana White's an easy target right now. Like he said, there's no other sports going on. There's no baseball. There's no basketball. There's no football. There's really no boxing. Everything is underground. It's all local promotions. Like you mentioned and I mentioned last week, they're doing whatever they can to take a fight. And the very real reality of it is, like Dana White said, I haven't laid off anybody. I haven't asked anybody to take a pay cut. These guys that are complaining, a good majority of them just got deals within the last year. It's not like they just signed these deals 3 years ago and go, well, I've done this and this and this since then. So Jorge Masvidal, who, let's be honest, has lost more than 10 fights in his career. Now, look, I'm not saying Jorge's a bad fighter. 35-13, 14, that's a damn good record to an MMA fighter. But let's be really real. He doesn't draw the big money. He's not on a McGregor level. He's not on a Mayweather level in boxing. And you get paid what you're worth. Like we discussed last week, if you are going to bring in the fans, the revenue, the merchandise, the pay-per-view buys, et cetera, the TV money, the money will be there and it'll be there for you. And let's not forget that Amanda Nunes just cleared $450K. In the middle and out on the outskirts of a pandemic. So why in the hell is everybody acting like they're so damn broke? And this has been the thing with a lot of the people. They're going, I don't like millionaires and billionaires fighting over money. It's happening in baseball. It's happening in basketball. It's happening in MMA. It's happening in football. All across the board, and what everybody's trying to do is line their pockets because they're all scared of their future, and nobody's willing to take a step back and go, you know what? I'm not the only mouth that has to be fed. But now we're seeing this kind of dog-eat-dog world mentality, and I think maybe we're getting into a dangerous place. 2 years ago, absolutely I would have supported Dalvin Cook. I would have supported Jorge Masvidal. I would have supported John Jones. I would have supported anybody that said, I need to get paid more money. But we're not flourishing in our economy the way that we were back then. Everything is different now. So why wasn't $106,000 to Greg Maynard enough money? The average UFC fighter in 2018 was making $138,000 a year. Now, You as a trainer and promoter know a couple of things. Your fight camps are expensive, your trainers aren't cheap, and nothing is for free. However, you can't tell me that clearing $106,000 isn't in the plus margin, right?
Right.
Okay, so if we're in the plus margin and we've cleared this amount of money, why in the hell is everybody pecking at Dana White's nose right now trying to get a few extra bucks?
Well, and Dana White has said more than one occasion, I'll offer you fights. If you don't want to fight right now, you don't have to fight. I'm not making anyone fight. So he's not doing a Roger Goodell saying everybody's going to show up for camp and that's just what it is. I'll tell you where to go.
Exactly.
He's actually saying if you don't want to fight, take a step back. You're not going to violate any contract. We'll call you when the pandemic is over, give you another opportunity. Or you contact us if you want to fight.
Well, and
so he's been pretty cool about it. I wish people would get off his back because people are going to make him have a heart attack at an early age.
It might happen. I mean, and you and I talked about it last week. That man looks stressed to death. And, the Below the Belt podcast, where again, Dana White said that he hasn't had anybody to negotiate. Well, we all know who came in and said that it's apples to oranges comparing the NFL to MMA. That MMA guys are subcontracted, but not really. And, now there's other MMA promoters going, well, I would never sign my guys to an 8-fight deal and, make them stick around. Okay. So your promoter, what's the biggest minimum fight deal that you've ever signed with somebody as a promoter and a manager?
I don't believe in signing 3 or 4 fight deals at a time to make them fight for only your organization for the next 2 years. A lot of times if I have a title holder, I'll tell them, I want you to fight for every title you can. I want you to fight for every organization because I don't want you to be the best in your backyard. I want you to be the best in Oklahoma. I want you to be the best in the Midwest because it solidifies my organization for you to be a multiple title holder from different organizations.
Okay. Now, while that's helping you, let's take it to the next level, right? Dana White obviously doesn't want somebody to be a UFC middleweight champ and a Bellator middleweight champ and a Shamrock FC middleweight champ. So let's say you're Dana White. Would you sign anybody to an 8-fight deal, or would you say maybe 3 or 4 fights?
There might be a few people I would sign to an 8-fight deal.
Okay, who, for example?
Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes. I mean, the people that are all over the news right now, the people that are making waves in MMA, those are the people that I would try to sign to long-term contracts with my organization.
So basically what you're saying is if I see somebody that I know is a cash cow and I know is going to draw money and I know is going to win and has all the other intangibles and things that I'm looking for, I'm willing to take that risk because ultimately that's what it is. Look, how can it be apples to oranges? Because ultimately signing anybody to anything is always a risk. Dalvin Cook might get hurt, right? He wants more money from the Vikings. Right. He might get hurt again. Todd Gurley might get hurt again. Conor McGregor might get in more trouble. John Jones might get in more trouble. They might get hurt in the octagon and not be able to fight for a year, 2 years. Kevin Durant, signing him to the Nets. That was a huge risk because he just tore his ACL, right? So what are you banking on?
But he was hurt. He was still out for a year whenever they signed him to the Nets.
Exactly.
They already knew the risk. So they knew the risk up front.
So if you're looking at that, are you really willing to take that risk and why? I mean, that's the question.
I guess it would depend on the fighter's character and integrity. And if you know that this is a true athlete, I don't know if you saw Julia Avila's post interview.
I did.
You know, she had a 22-second knockout, and she's from Oklahoma. She's from my hometown. A 22-second knockout, and they said, "What's next for you? Are you going to take a title fight?" She said, I'm not looking at title fights right now. I want to grow as an athlete. She has a true athlete's heart. I posted about it on my Twitter. It's not often that you see their spirit come through in an interview, and she was very transparent. I loved her interview.
But not everybody can be that, right? I mean, as great as that is, don't get me wrong, I'm right there with you. But not everybody can be that. And let's be honest,
right?
Sports is a lot of things, right? It brings people together, but it can also be very self-serving because, back in our day time, let's be honest, it was about the team aspect and camaraderie and all those things. But now, it started to switch in the late 90s, individualism, especially in MMA and boxing, combat sports in general, because it's literally you and the person in front of you, and that's it, right? So
that's my favorite thing about MMA. You get there with the team, and your team helps polish your stand-up or whatever. It helps polish you into a great fighter. But then when the bell rings, the gate closes, it's just you and the other fighter, and win, lose, or draw, it's solely your loss, your win. And you can't blame your line. You can't blame anybody else. I think that's what's so beautiful about MMA. Sorry, it's hard for me to not get missed up. I love MMA.
No, I concur. I really do. And Cub Swanson told me the same thing when I interviewed him one time, because I've interviewed him like 3 times. And one of the things that he told me was it's the purest form of sport. And he literally said basically the same things you just said. You go through the camp, you do a little training, you have a team, but when that cage closes, it's you and the person in front of you, and that's it. And there's no excuses for a win or a loss, period. All right? So, having said that, as Dana White said, we're the only one putting on events right now. Major League Baseball and the NBA, they can't seem to figure out what the hell they're going to do, what they want to do. There are political reasons. There are COVID reasons. There are riot reasons. There are contractual and financial reasons. Ultimately, I want to know what you think about this. MLB, NBA, and even football, because, guys are testing positive for coronavirus, namely Zeke, who's ticked off about HIPAA laws.
Man.
What do you think? Should we even bother with sports this year or just say to hell with it?
After watching Sports Center today, I'm skeptical about a sports season this year. I'm about 90% sure that MLB isn't coming back this year, which is a shame because MLB has always been America's pastime. And slowly over the years, due to greed and not being able to come to terms with collective bargaining, they've slowly started to phase themselves out as a sport. I think that NBA is going to come back, and I think that we're probably going to have a short NFL season.
I got to tell you, I agree and I disagree. I agree with what you said about baseball and collective bargaining agreements and, the things that are swirling around right now and the fight that's going on between these guys and how many games are going to be played. Because right now we should be in the thick of the baseball season and getting ready for the All-Star break, right? That's not happening.
Right.
Okay, so typically it ends in late October, early November. So we're in the middle of June, so July, August, September, October, the bare minimum. We're looking at 4 months, the season will be over. The pennant race will be on right now, right? So with baseball, guys are getting paid more money than they are in any other sport. I mean, Mike Trout just signed a $300 million plus deal last year. So 25% out of $300 million, come on. And
the union is asking for $1 billion extra in pay than the owners are willing to pay right now. There's such a huge gap between where the two are. I don't think they're going to be able to come, and they're not having any negotiations. Nobody's talked.
Well, and the thing about it is it's almost like a social media war at this point, and that's, to me, that's the issue with social media and sports. right? You have this back and forth, and you have both sides trying to gain the public persuasion of opinion so that way one can be swayed or the other. But I think deep down, everybody's kind of split right now. And you either have go with the season, figure it out, and let's get sports back. And then the antithesis is you have the other half going, to hell with this. I don't miss sports, or I've been without it, or it's not safe right now. When all is said and done, that's pretty much it. You have two sides. It's basically 50-50, not a whole lot in the middle. And I don't know. I damn sure don't think basketball needs to continue. Come on. They're talking about 8 meaningless games in basketball where you're vying for an 8 seed. You're probably not going to make it out of that 8 seed anyway. So what in the hell is the point of even having basketball? Why play 8 meaningless games when you could get hurt and not play next season? You're basically putting on an exhibition bout. There's really no reason for the NBA to go on. And then they're talking about shortening the preseason in the NFL. Well, now Zeke Elliott has reportedly tested positive for the coronavirus. Several Dallas Cowboys
and he
have.
He's mad that it got leaked to the press. He's mad about it.
Yeah, no, he's not.
And who's to say that it was a HIPAA violation? He's probably got, 20 people around him all the time.
Right.
I'm sure if somebody tweeted to their girl, my boy Easy's going to get tested.
For real. That's how he got caught in the first place, because when he got drafted, that female took a picture of him and was like, number 3 draft pick, Zeke Elliott, he's in my bed, he's dead asleep, right? So that's how that all happened. Okay, and then, he claims that it wasn't his agent that put out the news, even though Ian Rappaport for the NFL Network says it was. But here's the thing I was taught in journalism, the one thing that could always save you is the truth, and Zeke hasn't denied that he's got the coronavirus. So regardless of who leaked it, the bottom line is you got it, bro. So that saves everybody in media on that level. So it doesn't even matter about HIPAA violations. Whoever put it out there, the bottom line is you do have it. Several other Cowboys have it. Several other Houston Texans have it. Okay, so now we're getting to a point where to hell with maybe even 2 preseason games, maybe no preseason games, and are we even going to have an NFL and college football to begin with? Because the University of Houston, the Cougars, have come out and said, we've got guys that are testing positive for this, so we're putting a hold on everything. So really, to be honest, as much as we all want to plan for having sports back, the very dreary reality of it is it's probably not a good time, but I think everybody's in the same boat, whether you're a fighter, player, coach, athletic director, university, GM, NFL owner, and that is, where in the hell is my money going to come from? And that's the biggest thing that we're all facing in the society, from everybody that is a construction worker and server at a restaurant all the way up through whatever the hell you could think of. We're all in the same boat. We really are. And it feels like instead of coming together and working with each other, we're all bitching and whining instead of going, okay, here's where you're coming from. Here's where I'm coming from. Let's meet in the freaking middle, man. How the hell do you meet in the middle, Thyme? I don't know at this point.
I don't know at this point either. And then, okay, so take Corona out of the equation. Now you've got people like Kyrie Irving saying that he refuses to play even if there was no Corona. He still refuses to play.
Well, and Kendrick Perkins already called him on that, because it goes, 10 days ago, you were all about playing. Now you're telling us it's a social issue, but that's because you're out for the season. And they've had conference calls about whether or not they're going to continue their season. if it's going to take away from the movement, if it's what we really need right now. Everything is getting so diluted, unfortunately. And it's been like this for years. But even now, because so many people are at home. I mean, hell, there are a couple of people who are a few doors down in my apartment complex. They got laid off of work a few weeks ago. Right? I mean, it's still happening. The COVID and all this lockdown stuff has affected everybody. The liquor store.
Right.
That's in my apartment complex. I can't get this. I can't get that. These warehouses, they're shutting down, or they can't keep up, or they can't do this, or they can't do that. Let's be honest for a moment about everything that is going on. There is no certainty right now, and everybody wants to play into the certainty, but nobody can guarantee a damn thing. So why are we speaking as if though we can? At what point, Thyme, do we say, I don't freaking know, man. I just don't know.
And you might be right. We might be grabbing at straws, or we're trying to hang on to a little bit of normalcy in everything that's going on. That's something that we've always depended on. We know in sports, we know when football season starts, when baseball season starts, we know that we're guaranteed 152 baseball games in a 185-day period. That was just something we could depend on. And now that we don't have that, it's like, what is this? What's happening?
Well, and to be fair, it's 162 games, but I know where you're coming from. Okay. So let's put ourselves outside of the fan shoes, the journalist shoes, the player shoes, because even though I'm a player's guy, always have been, probably always will be. Let's say you're a coach right now. You're going back to your facility today, right? Because there's been a couple that have, Bruce Arians, Zach Taylor, a few others in the NFL that have gone back to facilities. You look up, you get the message, hey, players are testing positive for COVID. What are you planning for?
What would I do as a coach?
Right. That's tough.
I would start quarantining my players, demanding that they quarantine.
But how they stay in shape for the season?
Say that again?
How do they stay in shape for the season?
Well, most professional athletes have home workouts that they do. Most people have a home gym, or you could give them access to a gym facility and have them sign up for 1 hour slots. Demand that they wipe everything that they touch down.
Okay. I like that.
I'm just trying to think out of the box because I'm a problem solver.
Well, and
I think we can nip this in the bud if we all start being safe.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because that's what I'm talking about. And one of the things that's always bothered me is so many people present the problem when they're looking at a football team or basketball team, but they never present the solution. And that's what I am. I'm a solution guy. How can we fix this? That's what I like about me.
Don't just complain. Be proactive.
Exactly. Okay. So your offensive line isn't working. Is it the line itself, or is it the coach? Or maybe is it a quarterback they don't want to freaking block for? I mean, there's just so many different things there, that I think a lot of people don't really take into account. All right. So I think we've done enough with this. Let's move on really quickly here. You and I both saw, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. Man, what a hell of a deal.
The summer of '98.
Man, I'm telling you what, And
I remember it. I mean, I wasn't that big of a baseball fan back then. My father was. And I remember it vaguely, but I don't remember the season ending like that. I don't remember them both getting popped for steroids in the way it portrayed in the documentary.
Right. Which is horrid. And here's the thing. They say that it brought baseball fans back. But, after Jose Canseco wrote that book and went after everybody, to me, it brought baseball like another step back. And I don't think baseball's ever fully recovered for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have the scandals, which people survived that. Look at the Patriots. But since '94, baseball has been self-destructing. Remember the year that baseball shut down? Right. Because they couldn't come to an agreement? Right. About money, and that was a money issue. Sort of now. My thing is, baseball is boring time. Come on. No, it's not. Yes, it is. There's some pitcher standing on the mound. He's looking around. He's got a guy on first. Do I throw him out? Do I throw the pitch? Here comes the signal. All right, I'm getting ready for it. Here's the windup. One last look at the guy. See what I'm saying? I'm not even done yet, and you're already interrupting because it got boring just hearing me say that. You're boring me with your commentary. It's boring because that's baseball time. That's got nothing. My commentary is spot on. Don't, come on, let's be real. Well, it's harder to watch on TV than it is to watch in person. Some of my best memories are when my parents took me to 89ers games. And that's fine. And that was an Oklahoma team. Okay, but golf is also hard to watch. Well, you know why the golf announcer talks quiet, don't you? So he doesn't wake you up from your nap. I mean, come on. Okay, look, Thyme. You're saying my commentary is boring, but that's how baseball works. My commentary is boring because the sport is boring, and because that sport is so boring, they have time to go to the fans in the stadium that are eating popcorn and going, look at that fan eating popcorn. He's just got a little extra butter there. I'm sure he's enjoying that delicious ballpark. Popcorn. And he's eating more popcorn. Oh, now he's got a hot dog. One lucky fan got a hot dog. Everybody gets a hot dog at the game. There's no lucky fan there. Okay. If you feel this way about baseball, I'm not even going to get on the Colonial this weekend that Tiger Woods is playing in for the first time since 2009. I'm not even going to talk about that. Because golf Let's move right past that. I can't stand. Look, I respect what it takes to be a golfer. It's the most frustrating game in the world. I've never understood why people are like, I'm going to go relax and play a game of golf. There's no amount of alcohol that can make me feel good about playing a round of golf, right? Oh, I disagree. Are you serious? I love golf. Oof. Part of it is because I slice. Like, I'm in another realm when I play golf. If I slice, it doesn't go into like the woods, the trees, off the fairway, into sand. It doesn't go into water. Like, it goes into the street. That is over there occupying where the golf course, like the entrance is. I'm on hole 8, knocking something all the way. Like, I can't believe I didn't hit a car right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's my slice in golf. Well, I have a very ugly drive. I have an ugly drive. And I got to tell you, my handicap is in the double digits. But I still love to play golf. Well, it's okay for you and I to just agree to disagree. You will never convince me to play golf with you. And should that day come, understand I will be a bitter, angry old man. I'm only 36. You want to see the old man come out in me? Oh, hell. Trust me, it'll happen in a damn game of golf. Just know that I can be very convincing. A lot of people have told me that over the years, and they've all failed times. So, okay, since we're on golf, I'll just
say that Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, and Tiger Woods, I can't remember who the other quarterback is, but they played 18 holes a month ago.
I can't remember who that other guy is. It's just Peyton freaking Manning. No big deal. Oh, my God.
Yeah, my favorite quarterback of all time.
Are you serious right now? Peyton Manning's your
Run
favorite?
Run that back. I just want to mention.
I hope he hears this. I really do. I hope he hears this. I'm not cutting this out.
Peyton, I didn't mean it.
Oh,
you're still the
man.
one.
Oh, Peyton
I just want to mention that Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady played 18 rounds of golf and donated $20 million in COVID relief funds,
which was amazing.
And it came from outside sponsors. None of it had to come out of their pocket. They raised that much money,
which was great. And I think so many people miss the point. This looks horrible. Blah blah blah, dude. Peyton and Tom are not professional golfers. They're football players. Ask them to throw 5 yards on a slant route against Mickelson and Tiger Woods, and we know who's getting the better of that exchange. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
And they're freaking bored. This is what we're doing to our professional athletes.
Well, and this is also how rich people
they
do
take
stuff.
Up golf.
Yeah, let's play a round of golf. Let's get drunk. Did you see, by the way, that guy who was there on the ground level who flat out talked nonsense to Charles Barkley? He was like, I'd love to see your fat ass dunk a basketball right now. Like, really? Are you serious? Oh, my gosh. Really quick. Should Sammy Sosa be in the Hall of Fame? He says he feels like it's a death sentence. Do you think it should be in there?
Absolutely. Both of them should be in there.
Yeah.
They broke that record fair and square.
Right.
And that was record breaking, history making. That was the summer that baseball fans would talk about for years and years. The fact that they got busted for a steroid that you could buy over the counter. It wasn't even illegal then. It wasn't illegal until after they got busted with it.
I think for me, the thing that really gripped me about that documentary was watching Roger Maris back in 1961 said that he was feeling pressure from the media and fans. Can you imagine that? And then in 1998, right, or 97, 98 with McGwire and Sosa. Can you imagine that in 2020? Can you imagine? That just there's no way in hell. I mean, Aaron Judge went through it. I don't know how he handled it, but I don't know. Mark McGwire said a lot of times that he just wanted to play baseball, and that's the thing. We treat these athletes like they're robots. Like they're not human, and we idolize them to an improper degree. Come on, look at college football. Why are we idolizing 19-year-old kids? It's insane. We stand judgmental. I can't tell you how many comments I've read where people will say an 18-year-old kid is a bum. What in the hell? Yeah, it just blows my mind. Can you imagine trying to do that in 2020? Yeah, I don't know if
right.
I couldn't take it. There's no way in hell I could.
Okay, but on that note, so we expect these athletes to play a rigorous schedule. As you mentioned, 162 games in 185 days.
Right.
We expect them to play pretty much every single day of summer in the heat.
Right.
We expect them to hit 70 home runs in one season. And then we tell them that they put all this wear and tear on their body, and they can't take steroids. They can't take cortisone shots. I mean, how do we expect them to play up to this, at this level that we expect them to? I mean, it's like saying, 2 or 3 years, that's your prime, and then that's it. We're just going to suck every ounce of blood that you have and then hang you out to dry.
You're in New York one day for a triple header. You're in LA the next day for a triple header. And then people go, well, that's why they get paid millions of dollars. Suck it up. Have you stood out there for 6 baseball games in a 2-day span trying to win? It's 105 outside. You're sweating. You're tired. You're thirsty. You're trying to get hydrated. You have to work out. You have to practice. You have to have your pregame meal, your after-game meal, your between-game meal. Don't give me this.
Yeah.
You know, why did we create such a lack of understanding with the athlete? Sure, there are some athletes out there that get special treatment. But there are other athletes out there that never got that treatment. And we act as if, though, they got that treatment. And it's not fair. We can't lump everybody into one category. I mean, at some point, you have to go, look, man, yeah, they're getting paid a lot of money, but they sacrifice a lot in the meantime. How many of these guys have families? How many players and coaches have retired and said, I'm going to go and finally be a father to my kids? The word finally should be what's in the mind frame. Finally.
Well, you know, Mark McGwire was going through a divorce during '98. During that season, he was going through a divorce from his wife.
Right. And why do you think?
So he gave up everything, and he said because he wanted to focus on his career.
Right.
And what did we do? We stripped him of his record.
Right.
And he's not even been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame.
In order to be the best, you have to give every ounce of being into your craft, period. Mm-hmm. You and I both know doing something 3 or more times a week is creating a habit and perfection. Doing anything less than that is not. And what bothers me the most is how we purposely look over every single ERA, drop catch, fumble, interception, miss swing, miss shot. I mean, look at LeBron, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, can't get past a bunch of mediocre sour cats who have never done nothing with their lives going, you know, MJ is the greatest basketball player ever. And I agree with that sentiment, but do I take away from the greatness of LeBron? No.
Right.
Are you going to tell me that if your team is the Philadelphia 76ers and LeBron got traded to your team, you're going to go, oh, man, why did we get LeBron? No, you're not. Stop the shit. You would give...
You're going to go buy 20 new T-shirts.
For real. You would give your right arm to have LeBron on your team, and don't act like you wouldn't. You know, it just, it kills me. Look, I want to know, all right, you as a manager and a promoter, when it comes to social media and the negative comments, what in the absolute hell do you tell your people?
About negative comments?
Yeah!
Well, for the most part, and we've talked about this before, any publicity is good publicity. That's not always the case.
Yep.
I'm not saying be in the newspaper every other day for assault and battery, but you do have to keep a certain fan base. And, you know, my favorite MMA fighter, Conor McGregor, has perfected staying in the media. I'm being facetious. I do like the guy.
But he has perfected it.
He's a hot
There's
mess.
no ifs,
He's
ands,
a
or
hot
buts
mess.
about that. Oh, man, I'm telling you what. Who the hell knows? Him and Rafael dos Anjos now. Yeah, you know, supposedly Silva's training for him. I don't want to get into it.
I just can't.
Yeah, I can't either. Thyme. Great show today. What do you think?
It was a great show.
Yeah. All right.
We touched on a lot of things that I think a lot of people are worried about. A lot of people are wondering when is sports coming back. We don't know.
Yep. May or may not. Right now it's on
When we find out, we'll let you know.
Exactly. All right, everybody. She is Thyme Doonkeen, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Thyme Doonkeen. And I am simply Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. You can find us wherever you are listening to the podcast. Simply tell your device to play Duncan and Doonkeen on iHeart, Spreaker, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you are listening to the podcast. We are there. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.